listening to episode 146 of the Keto Diet Podcast, and if you can hear Barry Manilow playing in the background, I'm sorry in advance. I can't do anything about it. The boat that is directly beside us has been playing Barry Manilow since 9 o'clock this morning. It's 3:30 p.m. It's a Saturday, and I need to record this episode. So I'm just gonna do it, and if you can hear him singing in the background, enjoy it. I know that I'm not after, oh my gosh, how many hours is this of Barry Manilow? It's getting to be too much. Today we're going to be chatting about keto period problems, how to deal with your period when it comes back on keto when you weren't expecting it, digestive complaints when you're feeling too full on keto and whenever you eat a keto meal, it's just sitting in your stomach, and how to manage adrenal dysfunction. Now, today's episode is different than any other episode we've had on the Keto Diet Podcast because I am answering your health questions one by one. So about every-ish, Sunday-ish now, in place of many of the interviews, although there will still be some interviews, I'm going to be answering more health questions. So if you're like, what? I want Leanne to answer one of my health questions, you can go to healthfulpursuit.com/contact and ask me. Now, I'm not going to be able to get to every single person's question, but I will try my best to answer as many as I can throughout these episodes. And you can grab all the relevant links and bonus materials for today's episode by going to healthfulpursuit.com/podcast/E146. I got two cool things for you today. The first is that my paperback, the Keto Diet Cookbook, is officially on bookshelves all over the place. And I just wanted to take a moment to thank each and every one of you for grabbing a copy. It means so much. It really helps me be able to do the work that I do and get bookstores to supply the book and order the book. So thank you so much. And if you have a book in hand right now and you've purchased your book on Amazon, you can go to ketodietbook.com/review to leave a review. Or if you purchased it from another location, please take a moment to go to their website, leave a quick review. Even if you hated the book and you returned it, please leave a review. And as a little thank you for taking a couple of moments to do that, I'd like to give you an Equip coupon code, HEALTHFUL, all in caps, for 20% off all the goodies at equipfoods.com. Of course, this is an honor system. You don't have to review the book to use that, but I would hope that you're just going to review the book and then use it. Okay, second cool thing is that now that the cookbook is out, it's time to celebrate. And I'm giving away a bunch of bundles of collagen, grass-fed beef liver capsules, avocado oil mayo, and avocado oil ranch dressing, simply for sharing the book on social media. So when you use the hashtag #TheKetoDiet and share pictures of the book, selfies of yourself with the book, recipes from the book, meal plans of the book, you are entered to win. And the more times you post, the more chances you have to win. We're giving away 2 prizes every week from now to June 16th. So good luck. Okay, let's do this thing. Welcome to the Keto Diet Podcast, the show all about keto for women so you can burn fat, balance your hormones, and heal your body. If you're new around these parts, I'm Leanne Vogel. You may know me as the international best-selling author of The Keto Diet and author of the upcoming paperback book, Keto for Women, where I'm showing you how to take charge of the imbalances that are ruling your life so you can discover your happy weight in 3 easy steps. Or you may know me as the nutritionist that likes dipping pork rinds in avocado oil mayo. I'm so glad you're here with me today, and thanks so much for listening. We're going to be chatting a bunch about imbalances, women's health, and if you are a woman on keto and struggling to kind of make sense of everything, I would highly recommend going to ketoforwomen.com. It's my upcoming paperback coming in June. You can pre-order now. So check that out if that resonates with you. So our first question today is, hello, Leanne. I've just begun my keto lifestyle and your podcasts and books are super helpful in this transition. Awesome. I have some questions regarding hormones and keto. I am going on my 4th week of keto. I'm on birth control pills for endometriosis. And last week I was supposed to have my monthly cycle, but it never came. I had all the symptoms, but no actual period. Should this be a concern? I've been very regular up until this past cycle. There's no chance of pregnancy either. Okay, a couple of thoughts. When we have all the symptoms of our period, but our period never comes, that's a good sign, at least for me, that my progesterone is too low. So I would highly recommend, I'm guessing you're on an estrogen-based birth control pill. a hormonal birth control pill rather. So it would make sense to check your progesterone. Now, the interesting thing about women's health is that think of our progesterone and our estrogen as being on a teeter-totter. And so progesterone really keeps estrogen in check. And when progesterone gets too low, estrogen is able to increase. And when our estrogen increases, it can become very challenging for that progesterone to get it back under control. And so it's really, really important, especially if we're taking estrogen-based hormonal birth control, that we make sure that our progesterone stays in line with where it needs to be to offset that estrogen. Now, the problem of today's day and age in 2019 is there's actually a lot of just environmental estrogens out there, like all the toxins and xenoestrogens and down to like hair dye and how you wash your skin and the face products that you use. It's very, very imperative to look at those products that we're using because they are going to affect our hormones. Now, why did this come about after being on keto? Keto has an amazing way because it's an endocrine-based diet, which means it relies on hormones in order to be successful. It can shed a ton of light on what's actually going on with our hormones. And in the case of hormonal birth control pills, you're not actually having a period. When we're taking hormonal birth control, what we're experiencing as a bleed isn't an actual period. And we talk about this in episode 120 of the podcast. So if you're listening to this on a player, head back over to 120. We'll include links in the show notes and all those things. The title of the show is Why Hormones Matter on Keto with Jessica Ash. I highly recommend listening to that if you're curious about birth control and hormones and how it can affect you. Now, keto does affect your hormones, and changes in your cycle are normal. It may take a few months to regulate, but again, on hormonal birth control, you're not having an actual period. So when your hormones are fluctuating on keto, like I said, it can be a really good window into what's actually happening. So if I were in your position, I would test my progesterone and then I would look into my birth control pills. Definitely listen to that episode. And just also know that keto is going to change your hormones, probably for the better. I would also look at the products that you're using on your body, in your life, and just slowly pick away at reducing toxicity. Beauty products is such a huge piece to the puzzle here. And about, probably 2 years ago now, I switched over to Beauty Counter products and I've been really, really happy with them. I don't currently sell them. I just really love them. So you can go to beautycounter.com. I think that's a URL. I don't even know. Just Google Beauty Counter. Check it out. I really, really love this brand. It's an MLM company, so I'm always on the fence of whether or not to share it because I just really love it. So yeah, check that out. It's a really great way to reduce toxicity and make sure that you're keeping those estrogens in check. You could also chat with your doctor if you do find that your progesterone is low, of taking a bioidentical progesterone to help boost that up, to offset some of the birth control stuff if you're not able to go off birth control or you have no interest to do that. Back to today's episode in a sec. Today's episode is sponsored by my friends over at Perfect Keto, who is an awesome company that I've been working with over the last 2 years. And I love their commitment to quality, their ability to know what us keto people need because most of their staff are keto themselves. I use their products to stay into ketosis, burn more fat, extend my fast, and satisfy my sweet tooth. Now, if you're new to the ketogenic diet, Perfect Keto is a brand that you must know. All of their products help you get on the diet, make the transition easier, have you experiencing ketosis a little bit faster with boosted energy so that you really start to benefit from ketosis and you don't get discouraged by all of the symptoms that can pop up if you're not supplementing with electrolytes or not having enough fat or still having too many artificial sweeteners. And my favorite part to this, guys, is when you're new to keto, you can often have that afternoon slump. By supplementing with some of their products, specifically their exogenous ketones or their keto collagen, and even a little bit of their MCT oil powder, you can help avoid that afternoon slump that we can often experience as we are transitioning to the ketogenic diet. Now, my personal favorite Perfect Keto products include their keto bars. Almond butter brownie has my heart. It is the perfect dessert. Exogenous ketones help to maintain my energy level and give my brain a certain edge that I need every day. And lastly, their nut butter is out of this world amazing. Stick that stuff in the freezer, let it sit for 24 hours and go to town. I use their stuff on a daily basis, sometimes multiple times a day. And if you go to perfectketo.com/KDP, you can get 20% off their products and up to 25% off, a total of $34 off when you grab my favorites as a bundle. Again, that's perfectketo.com/KDP. Okay, back to today's episode. Okay, second question. Hello, my husband and I have been eating keto for about a month now. He's doing great. Me, not so much. My biggest hurdle has been digestion. When I started, I quickly found that I needed smaller portions as I filled up much faster after eating and my meal just sat in my stomach. I made my portion smaller and I'm still feeling that the meal is just sitting like a rock in my stomach. I've tried apple cider vinegar before my meal, but it didn't make a big difference. Suggestions? Thank you. Okay, the food rock in your belly. It really depends on how you were eating before. I'm guessing that you were not eating this way. My first suggestion with that rock stomach would be looking at the quality of your foods. So if you're eating a ton of dairy, that will usually do it. Any refined oils, that'll make it feel that way. And then you get into the actual digestion of food. So if you haven't already looked into it, a digestive enzyme, perhaps one with ox bile, would be helpful. And also supplementing with probiotics before your first meal of the day or any meal of the day, really. It just needs to be taken about 20 minutes before your meals can be really helpful. I'll include links to my favorite supplements in the show notes for today. Otherwise, you can just go to healthfulpursuit.com/favorites. And this is a page where I have all of my favorite things, and digestive enzymes, ox bile, and probiotics are on that page. Also, the combination of your meals is really important. So for myself, when my digestion was really bad, I couldn't combine certain things together. Like if I was going to have fruit, I had to have fruit alone because if I had it with fat, I didn't feel good. Or if I had nuts and seeds, they had to be alone. If I had them on a salad, I wouldn't feel good. So pay attention when you have that rock in your stomach. Are there certain meals that do it more than others? Certain foods that do it? And how much fat are those meals? If you lower your fat intake, does it feel as much like a rock? If it feels less as the lower amount of fat that you take, it would be really smart to start supplementing with ox bile. Okay, third and final question. I am running through these today. It is awesome. Okay. Hi, Leanne. I came across your YouTube video on adrenal fatigue as I was searching for information. I'm at a crossroad right now and feeling a bit despaired. I've been diagnosed with adrenal fatigue, but I've gotten nowhere on improvement. My fatigue has caused me to have panic attacks because I am not able to keep up with my life demands of full-time work, mommy of 2, wife, and working on a second master's degree. I need help, please. Thank you. Oh my gosh, that is a very busy life. Okay, my first couple of thoughts were, is there anything that you can either let go of, things that you're doing that aren't serving you? Can you ask your partner for help? Can you ask friends for help, parents for help, anyone out there for help? Can you look at optimizing your work life or your carpools to work or just something? Is there something you can cut to give yourself an extra 20 minutes a day? Now, once you figured out a couple things that you can say no to, you have a little bit more space to ground yourself so that you can approach your day better. I highly recommend, and it sounds crazy because I'm just telling you to add more stuff onto your already stressful day, but if you cut out some stuff, ask for help where you can. If you can carve out 5 minutes in the morning for a daily meditation, heck, even if you only have 2 minutes, setting yourself up and setting the tone for the day like that can be super, super helpful and help ground you. Now, meditation may not be your thing. Maybe it's light stretching. Maybe it's a longer shower. Whatever the case may be, just having that moment where you're grounding yourself can really, really help with adrenal dysfunction. Now, adrenal dysfunction itself can take a little while to heal, and it's really, really important that you understand what type of adrenal dysfunction you have. So you said that you were diagnosed with adrenal fatigue. I would ask your healthcare practitioner who diagnosed you to see whether or not you were high cortisol or low cortisol. And specifically, if you were low when you should be high and high when you should be low, it's really important that you understand what sort of dysfunction you're working with, because if you have really, really high cortisol when it should be lower, or really, really low cortisol when it should be higher, or it's just always low or always high, there's different approaches to each dysfunction. And so, for example, I wouldn't recommend cordyceps for somebody who has super, super low cortisol, because it will actually make you feel more tired. Whereas if you have high cortisol when it should be low, or it's always high, I would recommend cordyceps to help bring you down. So understanding what sort of dysfunction you have is really helpful in the healing process. The other piece to this is looking at your keto approach as a whole. So when you have adrenal dysfunction, it can be really, really important to lessen the stress on your body by not fasting as much and incorporating carb ups. At least in my practice, that's what I've found to be most successful when it comes to adrenal dysfunction. So if you don't already know about carb ups, I'm going to include a bunch of links in the show notes, a resource that kind of compiles all the different carb up pieces that I've written, videos that I've done, and podcasts that I've published, to give you an idea of how to practice carb ups. But basically, the gist of it is every night for dinner, take out most of the fat from your meal and put some carbs in. For you, for your adrenals, probably the best carbs are going to be ample amounts of greens, sweet potatoes, cassava, plantains, maybe apples, berries, those sorts of things, just to make sure that you're having a really, really good sleep and you're boosting your serotonin, you're supporting your thyroid. Because if your thyroid is imbalanced, and this can happen when adrenal dysfunction takes place, because there are a couple of different, I like to call them three-legged stools throughout your body. The first three-legged stool, also called the HPA axis, is the connection between your hypothalamus, your pituitary, and your adrenals. And the other three-legged stool, called the HPT axis, is your hypothalamus, your pituitary, and your thyroid. And so it's really important that we're looking at thyroid and adrenal health, because they're both influenced, or rather influence the hypothalamus and the pituitary gland, that we understand that the adrenals and the thyroid are going to affect those two glands. So it's really important that if you have been diagnosed, or you believe that you could have adrenal dysfunction, that you also look at the health of your thyroid, because a lot of people will go on this adrenal dysfunction protocol and they'll work really hard on helping their adrenals and nothing's improving, and they never tested their thyroid. And without supporting the thyroid, we're not going to be able to support the adrenals. So it's really important when we look at the endocrine system as a whole that we look at both of those pieces, thyroid and adrenals, together. And that's why carb ups can be quite helpful, not only for the adrenals and reducing stress, but also for the thyroid, to make sure that it has the ingredients that it needs to convert our thyroid hormones properly. Back to today's episode in a sec. If you're not familiar with Paleo Valley, they make one of my most favorite healthful keto snacks, 100% grass-fed beef sticks and 100% pasture-raised turkey sticks, and they are also fermented. Each stick contains 1 billion CFUs of probiotics to benefit the health of your gut and strengthen your immune system. Their gut-friendly sticks are gluten-free, soy-free, dairy-free, GMO-free, free chemical, additive, and dye-free, as well as being preservative-free. Many of the flavors are 100% free from carbohydrates, and the best part, they're really, really tasty. Now you can shop all things Paleo Valley, load up your cart, and apply a 20% discount code to everything in your cart. To take advantage of this offer, go to paleovalley.com/keto, fill up your cart, and enter the coupon code KETO20. That's KETO20 at checkout to apply a 20% off discount on your entire purchase. If you're unsure of the link, simply check out today's show notes for all the details. Okay, back to today's episode. Another piece you might want to test for is your DHEA. Now, I'm recommending tests just because you said you were diagnosed with adrenal fatigue, which tells me that you're probably seeing some sort of practitioner that believes in adrenal dysfunction overall, which tells me that you might be able to get these sorts of tests more so than somebody who just assumes that they might have adrenal dysfunction. Now, DHEA is a hormone that your adrenals create, and women and men also, but we're focusing on women here. Women find that as they age, which is a totally normal thing, their DHEA lowers as they go. So by the time you're 50, you don't have the same levels as you did when you were 20, and they slowly decrease. Now, for most people, this doesn't affect them whatsoever, and it's just a natural process of aging. But for many people, especially those with adrenal dysfunction, DHEA can get very, very low, and DHEA is converted either into estrogen or testosterone. And if that DHEA isn't pumped out enough, our estrogen gets low, our testosterone gets low, we feel really flat, we're working out of the gym, we're not building muscle, we're so tired, our sex drive gets lower, we feel self-conscious, we start gaining weight, our progesterone estrogen balance is off. So it's really, really important if we do have adrenal dysfunction that we also pay attention to our DHEA. Now, as you're listening to this, you might have gone to Whole Foods recently, or I don't know, a pharmacy specifically if you're living in the US, and seen the DHEA supplement and thought, OMG, yes, I'm going to supplement with this. Please do not supplement with DHEA unless you have tested your level and know for sure that you are too low. Unfortunately, DHEA is sold over the counter. You can just grab it. You don't need a prescription. And while I think it's a really great hormone to supplement with, it's important that you know your level before you supplement with it. The cool thing about DHEA, especially with adrenal dysfunction, is by taking it, you can actually feel quite better quite quickly as long as your DHEA is too low. Now, if you take DHEA and your estrogen or testosterone or your DHEA is too high already, that's not a great situation for you. So please, please, please test. And also, if you want to go deeper into hormones and all the things, I did a video a little while back in 2015, oh my gosh, that was forever ago, called Hormones All Over the Place, Adrenal Fatigue, and Eating High Fat or Keto. And I think that might be the video you're referring to, but anyone else who's curious about learning about adrenal dysfunction, how I got through it, you can definitely check out that video. I'll include the link in the show notes. And I hope that that was helpful. And next time we do an Ask Leanne, I'll make sure to include your guys' first names, because when I'm answering questions, I really like to at least call you by your first name. Makes it more personal and awesome. So there goes it, our first episode of me answering questions. Let me know what you thought about today's format by messaging me on Instagram or tagging the show on Instagram. Just take a little screenshot of your player and tag at Healthful Pursuit. I'd love to see what you thought about today's format and if you think we should do more of it. So with that, I hope you guys have a great rest of your Sunday, and I will see you soon. Bye. Thanks for listening to the Keto Diet Podcast. Join us again in a couple of days to discover more keto for women secrets for your fat-fueled life. The Keto Diet Podcast, including show notes and links, provides information in respect to healthy living, recipes, nutrition, and diet, and is intended for informational purposes only. The information provided is not a substitute for medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment, nor is it to be construed as such. We cannot guarantee that the information provided on the Keto Diet Podcast reflects the most up-to-date medical research. Information is provided without any representations or warranties of any kind. Please consult a qualified physician for medical advice, and always seek the advice of a qualified healthcare provider with any questions you may have regarding your health and nutrition program.